Built in 1958 by the Subaru division, the Subaru 360 had made its way through their production line, with over 392,000 models being built. From 1958 to 1971, only 10,000 had made their way into the United States. Imported by Malcolm Brickland, these Subarus are classified as cheap and ugly. Powered by a 358cc two-stroke engine mounted in the rear, these engines were fan-cooled, oil-injected, 25 horsepower motors with a 0 to 60 time of about 37 seconds. Standard with a 4-speed transmission, the fourth being OT, over the top. Standing at only 5 feet tall, 9 feet long, and 4 feet wide, and weighing in at 1,180 pounds. 3 model types were brought to the United States: a sedan, truck, and a van, the Sambar. Out of 10,000 360 models brought to the United States, a guesstimate of 2,200 vans had been imported. In this restoration series, we'll be taking a look at a 1969 Subaru 360 Sambar van. This Sambar van had been sitting in storage since 1998. In the midst of its restoration, the owner had become ill and was unable to complete the restoration. It had sat in a barn since 2013, when the person I purchased it from had taken ownership of it. From 2013 to 2020, the van had been untouched, sitting in a pole barn. Now, more than 22 years later, the Subaru 360 van will take its restoration. Well, what did we get ourselves into this time? Welcome back everyone to another revival series that we are going to be starting up. For starters, I know we just started the DeLorean Barn Find Revival series. Don't worry, that's not going anywhere. Part 2 will be coming out soon. More of that to come. In this revival series, we're going to be talking about the 1969 Subaru 360 Sambar van. That's right, Sambar, S-A-M-B-A-R, Sambar van. They made 3 different versions. They made a sedan that they called Cheap and Ugly. They made a truck that was basically a van that was just cut off so that it had a little back area, and the van. So I'd actually been looking for a Subaru 360 Sambar for quite some time. I had found a couple of them over the years. The issue is that they never had titles, and the person who owned the van didn't want to spend the money or time to go try to track down a title. They just wanted to get rid of it. They were usually pretty rusty to the point where it was almost like they were parts vans, and unless you're really, really good at fabrication, you could probably bring them back. Me, myself, I don't think I could ever really go that far. I had the mindset to find a van that was solid and that hopefully had a title. If it wasn't original, that wasn't a big deal for me because I could always bring it back to original. So I had the mindset of just finding one with a title and that one that wasn't that rusty. And so my dreams came true. Me and my father headed over to Michigan to pick up the 360 Sambar van. Now, kind of like the intro was saying, this was getting restored by a gentleman, I'm assuming in the late 90s, because it was parked in 1998, and he was going through the whole van, and he, as you can see, started taping it off, primers on there. You can see it was all sanded down, but since 98, the rust just came back in all the sanded areas. It's pretty rough, so all that's got to be going right back down to the bare metal for paint. The gentleman that I picked it up from, he had bought it from the guy that had started redoing it in the late 90s. He got sick and he ended up selling it to him, but the person that I bought it from brought it home in 2013, and it just sat in his garage. He didn't start touching it. He didn't do anything to it. He did give me some insight as to where to start looking for parts. It was kind of funny. The Subaru 360 Club, if you are looking at one of these or you want to know knowledge about these, please join the Subaru 360 Club. Awesome people, awesome knowledge, tons of great experience over there. You can share build pictures. There's vans for sale, the trucks for sale, sedans. It's all on that website. You should definitely check out the website. It's really cool. It's $8 a year to join the club, but I believe you can go just search around and look. I may be wrong on that, but little did he know, he handed me some paperwork about the Subaru 360 Club saying that I should join this, but I was already a part of it for quite some time. So the good news about this van is everything that I've hoped for. So the main point, the reason why I want to pick up this van is because it had a clean title, and that was the main selling point for me on this. When he sent me the pictures, I was even more happy that there was little rust on it. This is a very, very rust-free van for the time being. I've seen pictures of these where the rust is so bad that you can see straight in through the front and straight down underneath the floorboards. They can be in very, very bad shape. And I was really happy to see that this one was stored inside, out of the weather, since however long, like I said, since 98 or whatever. But it was out of the elements. It was very, very rust-free. Don't get me wrong, there was rust, but I was very happy for the time year and for how well it was taken care of since it was parked. That being said, I made the deal. I brought it back from Michigan with my dad. We got it in here. I have not touched this thing. It has been just how I picked it up. It is still dirty. All the parts are laying around inside the inside. I haven't even attempted to turn it over. The only thing I did off camera was put some Marvel mystery oil into the engine, just to start letting the pistons, the rings, the crank just start soaking in oil. That's the only thing I've done. Other than that, completely untouched. So what we're gonna do is get behind the camera. We're gonna walk around the van. I'm gonna show you what is missing, obviously what's not original, what we're gonna be fixing, and replacing and kind of talking about the hard things about the van. And then we're gonna start it up. All right, so let's get behind the camera. Let's do our walk around. I'm gonna throw my light on my camera. We're gonna turn on some light and we're gonna go check out the van. All right, so we are behind the camera now. And we'll do our short little walk around. So like I was saying before, this has been untouched since '98. As you can see, the tape around the dome lights, or the cab lights, around the windshield, chrome stripes, the headlights, there's some Bondo. You can see the rough marks from sanding have now been turned back to rust. The cool part about the little 360 van is that it is tiny. That is my favorite part. But it's got suicide doors. It seats 4 people. It's also very utilitarian. You can fold up the seats. Actually, kind of use it as a little truck. That's kind of what won my heart with the van, is that you can haul people, but you can also haul stuff if you want to. Alright, let's show you the interior. I'll show you the suicide doors here. There you go. Pretty fancy, huh? Previous owner left some brake parts in there. Pack of cigarettes. There's our dash. I wonder what's in that glove compartment. I'm a little afraid to open that. The steering wheel is not original, so we gotta find an original steering wheel. Let's turn on our light here though, and there it is. They made a heyday out of this. And when I say heyday, I mean the mice did. That radio is not original. Somebody just put it in there. There's a big mouse nest. Now here is the little heater box I was talking about. And if you look in there, you can see a mouse nest. So, a lot of cleaning to do we have. You can see a windshield wiper laying there. Just a lot of parts just thrown in there. Very gross. But the seats are in pretty good shape. The headliner's in pretty good shape. The mirror's intact. I don't think that crank works on that window, because the window is down. And I tried spinning it when we got to Michigan and it didn't do anything. So, I think this interior was redone in 1981, and I'm going to show you why. June 20th, 1981. That is when I am thinking that this interior got switched over to tan. It originally came in red, and the van came in white. Color white, and the interior was red. This was changed out to a tan. Spare tire sitting there. There's a door panel for this side. As you can see, we had some friends living in here. And by friends, I mean enemies. Because nobody likes mice in old cars. Very moldy from sitting. But this should just you go, push down, just like that. There's the speakers for that radio. None of that will be in here anymore. You don't need a radio when you have something like this, in my opinion. So we got the oil tank back there, which is good because it wasn't in the back from what I saw. There's your engine cover inside, and there's also an engine cover down there. If you look behind that cover, you can see another one. Look at how solid that is, though. That's what I'm mainly impressed about by this. Very, very solid. You can always change the interior. Keep an open mind. Alright, now let's talk about the back. I actually had to do another take on this one because I wasn't 100% sure how to explain what was going on back here. One of the previous owners, I'm assuming the person that owned it in the 90s, decided to do a wood bumper and a wood back latch to the back. That is going to be very hard to find. That's going to be a hard one to track down. But we are missing the front and rear chrome bumpers. This one is wood, as you can see. So there you go, 98. But they tried. I mean, it probably worked. When it was all painted, it actually probably looked like it was doable, but that's not going to cut it for us. We want to find the original one, which will be very hard. Not to find one that's all crushed or rusted, or even to find one. So, to the Subaru 360 Club I go, start researching. But check that out. I mean, even the taillights are still covered. Hopefully those are not all cracked underneath there. There's a reverse light. You get one reverse light on it. This cover literally just lays on here. Let's see what we got. Looks like we got a very old fuel pump. That probably doesn't work. That was my first thing that I saw when I took my quick little glance in here. The oil tank would sit right there, so I'm glad we have it. I'm glad it's in the van. Hopefully it's not cracked or anything, but there's the generator or the alternator. The transmission is behind that, and underneath the transmission is your oil pump. And you can't bypass that. It has to be hooked up, because that will run 100 to 1 at idle, and I think it's 30 to 1 wide open. So we need to get that working. Fan cooled. So what the air does is it comes in through here, down this vent, and you can see the fan shroud back there. It's connected to the crankshaft, just kind of like a snowmobile, if you would. There it is back there, if the camera will focus. There it is. You can kind of see it behind there. But it's connected to the crankshaft, and the faster the engine spins, the faster the fan spins. It goes up, it makes a 90, and it comes directly out this way. And that is how the engine is cooled. There's the starter, distributor and coil, and look at that, I just noticed something. We are missing I believe this is the sending wire. A wire will go from here down to there. Yep, we are missing that. Is the top one on there? Okay, yeah, the top one's on. So, the top, well, it should have power all the time. And this will be the sending for the coil down to the distributor. You may have to sand the points, I don't know. Put a feeler gauge. See if we can't get it back to spec. Or we could add that wire and maybe get spark, I don't know. We're gonna clean this wiring harness up. Oof. I'm just hoping it turns over. Air filter housing. Here's your carb. Oh, that's not connected. There's a little vent, like I was talking about, when the fan shroud has that 90 R on the back that come out the front. There's a little hole in the back, and that little hole will lead up to the heater that we saw in the front. That's how you get your heat. Looks like our brake fluid reservoir hanging off. So like I was saying, steering wheel not original. We gotta find one of those. Check out the mileage. 17,000 miles. Awesome. Steering wheel, not original. We'll find a new one. We are missing the choke cable, choke knob and cable. Hopefully you can find one of those. This is your heater switch. You pull this out and the defrost mode will come out of that right there, the defrost. A little tube that runs to the front. We are also missing, I'm sure you could see from the front when we walked around, we're missing the Subaru emblem and the Subaru script that goes up this way. Luckily a guy makes those in the Subaru 360 club, so I will be ordering up those, but that will probably be the last thing to go on. Forgot to show you. Here is how you turn on the AC. There's a little knob right there, and when you push in on that knob, that is how you get AC. There's your air conditioning. Okay, one last thing, and then we're gonna hook a battery up and see what works and what doesn't. Let's talk about one of the most difficult things. There's a lot of difficult things on the Subaru 360 van. But let's talk about one of the biggest headaches with this. And that is the drum brakes. So there's your drum brake. And the issue with the Subaru 360 is that in the front, there is 2 cylinders per wheel in the front. So there is 4 cylinders in the front, and the rears only have 1 in the back to each tire. So there's a total of 6 cylinders that are prone to go bad. They always go bad when they sit. I mean, I've watched some videos where a few 360 vans the brakes will seize after just a couple of months of sitting. So I'm expecting since '98 for these not to be good anymore. That being said, when we get to the break point of the video, I don't think I'm going to attempt to rebuild these brakes because I don't want to mess them up. They are the hardest part to find on the van, the most tedious and the most needed for braking wise. I've looked at some disc conversion brakes, but have not been, I haven't found anyone very successful yet. But once we get to the break points, we are going to pull those cylinders off and we are going to send them out for somebody to rebuild. I don't think I want to attempt to do that on this van, just because I can't afford to break them or misplace them. They have to go to each spot. So one at the top, one at the bottom. Once we reinstall them, it has to be the left tire at the top, left tire at the bottom. They all go in order. They all have a spot that they're supposed to be in, so you can't mix and match them. So that being said, once we get to that point, we'll send them out. We'll get them redone, and now it's done the right way. Somebody that's been doing it for quite some time, and knowing that if I mess it up, I can't find a replacement part, but hopefully the person that can do them right. So that being said, why don't we hook up a battery, see what works and what doesn't, and attempt to start this thing. Let's try it out. Alright, so the battery connections are down in here. It's around. Right. Let's walk around front and turn that key. Let's see what happens here. See if we got any power or anything. Oh, I'm seeing lights. You see that? I'm seeing lights. Let's see if we pull the hazard button. See if we get any hazards. Look at that. Is the other one going? Oh, look at that. The other one's going. Look, it's blinking up top. Let's see if we turn the key one step. Okay, we got the oil light on because the oil tank's not hooked up, so that's good. Let's see if we got just solid blinkers now. Look at that. Let's try the other one. There it goes. We got blinkers. But a horn. No horn. The knob to the right there, that's for your heater, so no point in pulling that. We do have a windshield and a headlight. See if we got any motors. There you go. Motors work. Not sure if you saw that. I don't want to go too hard because of the tape on there. Now for the headlights, it's a 3-switch system. So that switch goes up, middle, down. And I believe down is for the cab lights only, and all the way up is for the headlights. And I don't know if I want to tempt that yet, just with having the tape and everything around that. I'm not even sure if we'll be able to see it. They'll probably be so dim. How about we turn the key, see if we hear any movement. Ready? Look at that. Turns over. Let's jump in the back, throw that coil wire on, maybe throw a little starting fluid in it, and see if it pops. Alright, fine. Okay, I want to give you guys a better view. So why don't we try getting this down? Like I was saying before, you turn this and it's supposed to drop, but there's 2 wires in here. And, oh, I think I got it. Look at that. Alright, we got it down. There's some old parts in there. I didn't even see out of the corner of my eye. Look at that. Looks like an old belt or something. I first thought it was a dead animal, but we have a ground wire coming off. The grounding strap. Alright, let's get you set up and see if we got spark. Alright, I just quickly made up a little wire, and I found 2 boots, believe it or not. I think maybe this wire corroded away, or I'm not sure. Something may have happened, but I found 2 boots laying underneath this engine and just quickly cleaned them up. Just something temporarily, just to see if we can get it to run. Like I said, we're gonna connect it from this coil wire down to that coil wire. Let's see what we got. I'm using a, ooh, that's pretty loose. Just a vice grip to tighten this down. So we're just gonna snug this up. Now, after this, we'll check for some spark. Good enough to me. Let's check for some spark. Shall we? Okay, forgive me, this camera angle is a little odd, but it does the trick. Again, that's the ground strap we're gonna have to figure out. And like I was talking about before, I did put some Marvel Mystery Oil in here, so I'm probably expecting the plugs to look a little oily. Yeah, a little oily. I'll wipe them off. To get this thing to spin as fast as we can, I think I'm going to take this one off as well. And hopefully, I know it's not the correct way, but hopefully we can put the cap up there and see if we got any spark. Alright, so we have spark, and now we are going to attempt to start it. So we have our jump pack hooked up, and what I did is I took a little external tank here and I put a lot of oil in there. It's about 100 to 1 right now, a lot of oil. But we hooked it up to our old pump, and we're going to see if we can't fill that float bowl up. So we got it on the jump pack here, and once I hit that switch, it should start pulling. There we go. Okay, just shut off. What do you say we try starting it? Let's see what we got. Let's try taking that rag out. A little smoky. Like I said, had a lot of fuel in there. A lot of oil. Well, it runs. That's a good sign, right? And not even sure how dirty that carburetor is. Stinks. Let's see, just for fun, if it'll start back up. We can't run it too long, because again the oil injection isn't hooked up, and I don't want to run that pump dry, so we'll try one more start with it. Well, I'd say that's successful. So, will it run? It did. It ran, and it's smoky. Alright everyone, that's going to do it for part 1 of the Subaru 360 revival. We got it going, just kind of temporarily. I think in the long run what I want to do is actually drop the engine out of the back, go through the seals. There's actually a couple of mods in the actual engine that need to be done. If you're new to these, just like me, these Subaru 360s, make sure to check out the Subaru 360 Club. Like I was saying, it's about $8 to join, to be a member. You get a actual book of reprints, they call it, and it's a ton of informative documents and manuals that you can get, and it's really, really informative. And I'm glad I got to be a member because I've read through some of the book of reprints and a lot of good information on there. So in part 2, I figure we'll go through this thing, we'll clean it up, vacuum out the inside, kind of see what else is laying around in there. Maybe get the brake shoes off, sent out to be rebuilt, the cylinders in there, and the shoes relined and whatnot. Until then, I will see you in part 2 of the 360 van restoration.